Do you remember your first Call of Duty campaign? Mine was Call of Duty World at War. The multiple campaigns, the renewed approach to World War II, the stunning details, and perhaps most importantly, how it all came together in one cohesive package. I remember other Call of Duty campaigns, even last year's middling Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Try as I might, however, nothing from Black Ops 7 registers in my brain. I know it's set in 2035, despite how much Activision keeps saying it's a follow-up to Black Ops 6, which was set in 1991. I also know that Menendez, did I spare or shoot him in 2012, is back, and there's an organization called the Guild manufacturing robots, basking in the public praise and engaging in wholesome, definitely not evil activities.
Enemies are carrying the device.
Enemy
We have the overload device. Protect our zone. They have the overload device. The overload device is under hostile control.
tracking hostile.
Hostiles overloaded our control station.
The beta? I played it, or at least as much as I could stomach, to know about wall bouncing, overload dog, the deployable armored weaponized ground craft, thank you very much, etc. Yet it feels like a blur, little more than impressions upon my brain. Giant machetes raining from the sky, twisting corridors, and 4-player co-op, aka single player without difficulty options, are all that really stuck out in what little we've seen of the campaign. Any other year, this kind of Call of Duty experience, the so-called biggest Black Ops ever, would come and go for me. Yet, as we see Battlefield 6 selling more than 7 million copies in 3 days, over 10 million in its first month if estimations are to be believed, and Arc Raiders delivering one of the highest rated multiplayer shooters in years and years, while also reportedly shifting 2.5 million in a week. The existence of Call of Duty baffles me at this point. Now, we're not discounting those who buy it every year. Actually, I'm happy that they can complain less about skill-based matchmaking and celebrate persistent lobbies. Good changes that were demanded for years. But is better late truly better than never? The open mosh pit playlist only happened because of the absolutely abysmal beta reception, and keeping it in the full game feels more like a desperate move. One, I might add, that hasn't translated to a massive sales bump by Steam standards. Currently 32nd on the top global selling games chart. Honestly, take your pick on the games that are commercially stomping it at this time. Peak, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Dispatch, Rust, Escape from Duckov, Red Dead Redemption 2, which is 80% off, but still. Even the first Descendant for crying out loud, is currently several places higher. Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6 are the most notable ones, however. The former is the second best-selling game on the storefront following months of positive buzz. The latter is the 5th best-selling, no small feat considering criticism against the campaign, small map sizes, and dozens of other issues important to die-hard players. Even with the monetization and challenges annoying them enough to review bomb Battlefield RedSec, Battlefield 6 is still seeing hundreds of thousands of players daily. Granted, Call of Duty has an edge on platforms. Engagement-wise, Call of Duty HQ is second only to Fortnite in the United States on Xbox and PlayStation, according to Circana. But the air around Black Ops 7 isn't so much low as a pure vacuum. Much as I'd like to attribute that to the franchise's hubris, it's also a testament to the level of competition out there. Battlefield 6 didn't just launch knowing that Activision would be releasing 2 Black Ops titles back-to-back. It's the result of years of development and changes, and even more years spent by DICE getting hammered over Battlefield 2042. The modern setting was the vision, but that didn't stop it from conducting extensive tests worldwide and soliciting feedback from fans on how everything feels to play. Beyond all else, it recognized the need to return to what made the franchise great, and it certainly wasn't specialists, goofy skins, or a lack of tactical play. Likewise, Arc Raiders didn't suddenly get delayed for 3 years because Embark Studios, somehow, someway, knew that Call of Duty would fumble this hard in 2025. By its own measure, the original vision wasn't great, and thus it returned to the drawing board to rework it. What could have once been a quirky and fun, yet also repetitive PvE shooter has now become a hotbed for stories and community building. Every expedition is a blank slate, an opportunity to meet shifty characters, friendly raiders, and murderous robots, maybe even a mixture of all three. That it's all wrapped up in a package that's as welcoming for newcomers as it is for hardened extraction shooter fans is one of the many reasons why it's resonating so well. At this point, Call of Duty exists out of obligation. An obligation to Microsoft and its shareholders to offer some return on their acquisition of Activision. An obligation to those who buy 1 or 2 games yearly. You know the other ones because of their name and value and little else. And yes, an obligation to those of us who hope that maybe, just maybe, this year will be different. This year will be better. Instead, this year has me thinking about Call of Duty World at War and how revolutionary it felt. The immersion of a game whose set pieces didn't compete with Hollywood in terms of budget and sheer scale. It speaks to you in a way that's so different from so many others, even if the industry as a whole was suffering from World War II fatigue at the time. I'm not saying that Call of Duty has to return to that same setting and have a level of fidelity that could fund Call of Duty World at War multiple times over. But even with all its attempts to swing for the fences, the 32-player extraction endgame that feels utterly pointless, the quote-unquote improved movement, the list goes on. The overall vibe feels tired, burnt out. We're witnessing what's essentially a multiplayer shooter party right now. That's 2 in this age of live service disdain, and it feels great. Then there's Black Ops 7 in the corner, counting the minutes before it can clock out until next year. For all of Activision's pantomiming about the marketing and how it's like dropping a Beyonce album, it's incredible to witness what should be a multi-billion-dollar franchise, which will still go on to make billions, don't get me wrong, appear just tired. Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6 are stealing the show, drawing in those who wouldn't usually indulge in either brand of multiplayer shooter action. But that Call of Duty, one of the biggest IPs in the world, just let them while continuing to rot in its own little bubble, is as surreal as it is unsurprising. After all those years of controversies, backlashes, resurgences, and bafflements, who would have thought that this year's entry would be so utterly passé? Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.